Could Steph Curry survive the Wild West? To answer this, we need to break it down into three categories: A, why Curry is capable; B, what made the Wild West so dangerous; and C, how Curry could realistically survive it. So first, why is Steph Curry even capable of this? Because throughout his entire career, Curry built a reputation around precision, composure, and performing under pressure better than almost anybody in basketball history. And no version represents that better than his championship runs with the Warriors. During those years, Curry constantly played through pressure, hostile crowds, physical defenses, and impossible expectations while still performing at an elite level. But stats alone don't explain why he'd fit the Wild West. Because Curry's biggest advantage was never size or physical intimidation. It was accuracy, calmness, and the ability to stay focused while everything around him became chaotic. And honestly, that mentality matters a lot in the Wild West, because surviving there wasn't just about strength. It was about reacting quickly under pressure, making smart decisions, staying calm during dangerous situations, and hitting your shot when it actually mattered. Most people in the Wild West panicked once violence started, but Curry built his entire career around staying composed during high-pressure moments. And we've seen that throughout his career. Game winners, deep playoff runs, impossible shots in hostile arenas, moments where everybody else tightened up while Curry looked completely relaxed. There are countless stories about Curry practicing the same shots over and over again until they became automatic. That level of repetition matters in an environment where reaction time could decide whether you lived or died. And another reason Curry fits this environment is adaptability. Throughout his career, Curry constantly adjusted, depending on defenders, pressure, and physical conditions. When teams defended him differently, he adapted. When defenses became more aggressive, he adjusted his game. That ability to think quickly would have been critical in the Wild West, where situations could change instantly. Now let's move on to Section B. What actually made the Wild West so dangerous? The Wild West wasn't just gunfights and cowboys. It was one of the most unpredictable environments in American history. Violence could happen almost anywhere. Saloon fights, robberies, ambushes, shootouts in the middle of towns. And once situations became dangerous, hesitation usually got people killed. On top of that, survival depended heavily on composure. Fear spread quickly, panic caused mistakes, and people who lost control under pressure usually didn't last long. But probably the most dangerous part was unpredictability. You never knew who you could trust, or when violence could suddenly happen. And mentally, that constant pressure exhausted people over time. That's important because Curry's biggest strength has never been overpowering people physically. It's been staying calm while everything around him becomes chaotic. Now on to Section C, how could Curry realistically survive this? The first factor is composure. Curry built his entire career around performing calmly under enormous pressure. And in the Wild West, that mentality becomes incredibly valuable because survival often depended on making fast decisions without panicking. Now the second factor is precision. Curry is arguably the greatest shooter in basketball history. And while basketball obviously isn't gunfighting, the ability to consistently stay accurate under pressure still matters, especially in high-stress situations where small mistakes become deadly.
Back and forth with him is obviously entertaining also.
I mean, what Steph does is something unbelievable, I just, like I said after the game, I just think every shot is going to go in when he shot it. So it's unbelievable the way he plays the game.
Then there's endurance. Throughout his career, Curry constantly dealt with physical defenses, injuries, exhaustion, and relentless pressure. And surviving the Wild West would require both physical and mental endurance over long periods of time. But probably the biggest factor is mentality. Most people in the Wild West lived in constant fear. Curry usually plays his best once the pressure becomes overwhelming. And psychologically, that changes everything. Because when everybody else becomes nervous, the person capable of staying calm gains a massive advantage. Now, does this guarantee he survives? No. The Wild West was still unbelievably dangerous. The odds would still be against him. But when you compare the Wild West's biggest challenge, Staying composed under constant pressure with someone whose entire career was built around precision, confidence, composure, and performing in chaotic situations. Steph Curry would absolutely have a realistic chance, and that's why Steph Curry could survive the Wild West.